As whenever the DelFest festival comes around, it's just a lot of excitement and build up for it here.
A big festival like DelFest was very important for us.
I think DelFest is clearly the biggest thing that brings people from out of town to our town.
DelFest takes it to the next level.
Their care, their passion, and their compassion stays long after the festival is over.
They brought music, they brought a festival, but for us they brought hope because they're changing lives in Allegany County.
DelFest is a very unique festival in that it has many different angles for appeal. It's now a 4-day destination music festival. The majority of the people who come to the festival come as couples and as families. The vast majority of them camp as opposed to staying in hotels, and the vast majority of them buy tickets for all 4 days. So it's a total immersion experience that has, positive roots culture, incredible musicianship, and this kind of camaraderie that stems from the attitude of the family that hosts it. We were told in this community that Del McCoury was actually bigger than bluegrass. That here's a man who was in the room the day bluegrass was born. He was employed by Bill Monroe. So if that doesn't tell you what Del McCoury is, it's hard to get it across. That he is so respected within the music industry. Still, there is this natural country family-based person whose appeal is in his honesty, and it's in his sincerity, and it's in his interest in others. He's interested in everybody. In 2008, those of us who were true believers in tourism, we had seen glimpses of success for the Rocky Gap Festival, the World Whitewater Championships, the Western Mountain Scenic Railroad. There was evidence that all of them could succeed, but they were incomplete proof of life. And when we saw these guys come in and the way they explained themselves and the kind of professionalism that we sensed in them, we were very hopeful that they would be the ones to make this experiment successful, to put it over the top. And I think the biggest reason the McCoury family really embraced the community was the fact that the community helped them. I think they understood that, and I think that they rewarded that with continued interest in our outcomes. When some questions came up about how the festival would be able to sell beer and to operate in the fairgrounds, this was new territory for our community. DelFest fan base was alive online. DelFest fans, a mix of national-based fans and local ones, stood up for the character of the organizers. They were, Del's army. And at the end of it, there were 1,344 of them calling for a just outcome. And it's no accident that today that outcome happened. The old Facebook page that had all the fighting in it went down. They all transferred to the Del's Army page. The PLL Army fought a battle that was ostensibly over local pouring regulations, but in reality, they were years ahead of the curve on the popularity of craft beer. And today, when you go to a local brewery and you enjoy a Roots acoustic act and you enjoy a local food truck, you're living the legacy of what the DelFest family introduced to us. And so Del's Army became a fundraising wing for the food bank, because the food bank was one of the original charitable targets. So year after year after year, when you walk into the Music Meadow, you can't get in the Music Meadow without speaking to and giving canned goods or contributions or buying merchandise from one of these original 1344 members of the Pale Ale Army. And so they're available to do good things when Del calls.
Del's Army, every year they do the food drive. They collect usually a ton or more of food just during the festival. Then they also sell t-shirts, and then they take the profits from that t-shirt sale and bring that cash to us to use to turn into food.
Part of the original discussion about beer pouring was the need for a charitable organization to have a temporary pouring license. The DelFest Foundation continued in that role, because the income, the profit from that pouring, was charitably redirected into our community directly.
So my organization is Presley Ridge in Cumberland. We were seeing a problem with children coming into foster care with very few belongings, especially clothing and toiletry items. With help from the DelFest Foundation, we were able to create a very lovely clothing closet. The DelFest Foundation symbolizes that their commitment to this community goes way beyond just the festival. And Del and his wife have taken the time to come around and see some of these organizations. They spend time in this community, getting to know the community. They show that their care and their compassion is here day in and day out.
The DelFest Foundation has helped the food bank for years. It started out just when DelFest started here, where we would get, a donation from them, and then it turned into, we are so connected to them and we rely on them, and we know that they're going to answer the need of this community. And even during COVID, where they're facing, all of them are unemployed. All the performers, all the people who do lights and film and all the other areas, they're unemployed, but they took the time to say, we're worried about Allegany County and whether they're going to have the food they need, and they made that happen for us, and I'm just so appreciative of all they do for us.
Everybody in the music industry was obviously totally crushed by what was happening with COVID, and there was this long process by which they decided they couldn't hold the festival, and then there was a longer private process where they said, what might we do to keep that date alive for our fans, to give them something back? The idea of this multi-day digital event started to evolve, and then suddenly it accelerated to the point where they put a tremendous amount of effort in it. So they put together a super show of previous DelFest performances that was really amazing in its quality, and DelFest at Home turned into a huge success. Arguably didn't make a penny for DelFest, but it didn't bother them at all. The McCurry family story is our community's family story. That they came from very humble beginnings and they worked hard all their lives, literally. And when you look at the history of our community, that's how it rose. It rose from the working class and the people that worked in the mines, the people that worked on the railroads. We were very much a blue-collar community. So our community history matches their family history, and that's one of the reasons it clicked so well. It's because they understood us, and we will always owe them that.